Is any of it real? I mean, look at this. Look at it! A world built on fantasy.
Synthetic emotions in the form of pills.
Psychological warfare in the form of advertising.
Mind-altering chemicals in the form of
Food.
brainwashing seminars in the form of media.
Controlled, isolated bubbles in the form of social networks.
Real? You want to talk about reality? We haven't lived in anything remotely close to it since the turn of the century.
I'm not letting you go back to the airport without answering the question.
Well, our Constitution is a masterpiece. James Madison was a genius. The Declaration of Independence is, for me, the single greatest piece of American writing. You don't look satisfied.
One's a set of laws and the other's a declaration of war. I want a human moment from you. What about the people? Why is America
Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about...
Fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of our paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money. It costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose.
If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always?
Hey, and with a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom?
Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain,
Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl.
Just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day,
There's some things you should know, and one of them is there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite?
Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men, men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
By a rich guy who got lost in a submarine. Quietly, in the shadows, U.S. regulators approved the sale of synthetic lab-grown meat to the American public. This is not a parody. This is not a joke. Let's get into it. In this article from the Associated Press titled, U.S. Approves Nation's First Lab-Grown Meat, Chicken Made from Animal Cells, it talks about how 2 California companies got the approval to sell this shit to us. So I'm thinking to myself, who could be that powerful to convince U.S. regulators to sell us synthetic lab-grown meat? and it's none other than our good buddy, Billy Boy Blue, who's been the primary investor in companies that are trying out different synthetic meats for us to enjoy. He's also one of the majority shareholders in Impossible Meats. So I'm thinking, this guy's just a computer wizard. He's not a nutritionist. He's not a scientist. Could he be after consolidating the food supply? I don't know. But what I do know is that Bill Gates is the largest private farmland owner in the United States.
Has not gone as well as Vladimir Putin expected.
I don't buy it for a second, Ed, I'll be honest with you. I really think that there's so much misinformation. We've never really seen anything like it. The Russian military isn't perfect, but Russia is not struggling. It's hard to believe anything that our leaders tell us because they've lied about COVID, they lied about Russia collusion, they lied about the Ukraine impeachment trial. You see dishonesty when it comes to the Azov Battalion. The Azov Battalion has been murdering its way through eastern Ukraine. I mean, you can find pictures of them online holding up the NATO flag and the swastika at the same time. This is why Crimea wanted to be with Russia, because Western Ukraine backed the Nazis. The CIA actually gave immunity from prosecution to the Nazis of Ukraine from the Nuremberg trials. These are the actual Nazis from the Second World War. When you know that the CIA sponsored the Color Revolution in Ukraine in 2013 and 14, there's as much interference here as you could possibly imagine before you even get to Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, John Kerry, and Mitt Romney, and all of their children who are employed, who earn millions from Ukrainian gas companies. Zelensky was selected, like so many of our leaders, with big tech and with election fraud these days. We don't know how many leaders all around the world have been selected for us. Putin has been warning for 15 years that he is not going to stand by while the globalists take over the world, build bioweapons facilities. Ukraine has been a center of money laundering for many of the leaders in this country.
You realize we've already won, right? Like, we've won. We've done it. The people have succeeded. Which is why you're seeing them propose drastically tyrannical bills right now, potentially banning any app they want to. And if you download a VPN to use the app, then you get 20 years in prison and pay $1 million fine. Like, that's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. The people are too strong. We outnumber each politician 10,000 to 1. It's never going to happen. They're doing it to scare us. We're basically watching them have a little tantrum as they're dying, as the power is leaving their hands, right? So just know that as you see all this crazy shit happening that you think may actually happen, right? It's not going to happen because the people are too powerful. Yeah, they may shut off some power. Yeah, there may be some food shortages. Prepare your food. Get out of the dollar because that shit is sinking quick. Get physical assets like silver that holds its value because it's an actual asset that you can hold. And then watch the shit show happen because we've done it. We don't have to have a World War III because World War III is information warfare. And if they ban TikTok, then we get in the streets and show them who the fuck we are. And that's all we have to do.
3.5 years after Jeffrey Epstein died, no one has gotten to the bottom of what happened that day, and there has been no accountability for it. The only people ever punished for the grotesque malfeasance surrounding Epstein's death were 2 low-level guards who fell asleep on duty that night. Both pleaded guilty to falsifying government records. But last year, with no real explanation, an Obama-appointed judge dropped all charges against both of them. One of the guards may still work for the federal government. As for getting to the bottom of what happened, despite many promises from many various officials, neither the FBI nor the Justice Department's Office of Inspector General has ever issued a report explaining how Jeffrey Epstein died. Not a word. So once again, 3.5 years after one of the most widely covered deaths of our time, there are still no answers and there is still no accountability. Why is that?
Mr. Barr, why did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself while you were in charge of the Bureau of Prisons? And why did your dad hire him to teach at the Dalton School? Mr. Barr, why did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself in maximum security prison when you were in charge of the Bureau of Prisons?
Yeah.
I'm asking, Mr. Barr, why did that happen? Your dad hired Jeffrey Epstein to teach at the Dalton School. I don't understand why you don't want to answer a basic question. All right, have a good day.
The District of Columbia can no longer be counted on to be working for we the people of the United States. Every bill they put out, you go through those bills, they have nothing to do with helping this country, securing our borders, our sovereignty, our freedom. What has happened is that a public-private partnership that is with the Great Reset, I call them the Davos crew or the banking cartel. Sure. They are usurping our government, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. They are selecting our leaders. That's right. And it is all for them, for this globalist Great Reset, Agenda 2030, Agenda 21 it used to be. What they are sustainable goals that will lead us to a digital prison on this planet. They're talking about central bank digital currency, ESG, climate change. All of this stuff means one thing, that the United States no longer maintains its sovereignty, its freedom, its Declaration of Independence, and its Bill of Rights. And we are fighting against that. So please be aware that this is an international battle. United States is the problem for the Great Resetters, and that is why they are trying to take us down from the inside out, dividing us by race, religion, sexuality, class, color. It is coming from the top.
Morals.
So, yeah, it's coming from the top, so we don't see them.
Have any thoughts on the Ukraine-Russia war?
Ukraine is good for business. You know, right? We don't want the conflict to end.
Why?
We don't want the conflict to end as a country. The longer this goes on, the weaker Russia is. I'll give an example. Russia blows up Ukraine's grain silos. The price of wheat's gonna go mad up. So what are you gonna do if you're a trading firm? The moment that news hits, within a millisecond, you're gonna pump trades into whoever the wheat suppliers are, into their stocks. Within an hour or two, that stock goes up, and then you sell, and you just made, I don't know, however many mil.
Why would a news channel promote a side in war?
Because it's also good for business too. I mean, what's news? Ukrainian economy is tied very largely to the wheat market, global wheat market. This is fantastic if you're trading. Volatility creates opportunity to make profit. War is real good for business. It's exciting when goes wrong, right?
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. It makes me wanna dribble dribble, you know.